Man, I am so excited to make another video about Kagurabachi. I got the copyright strikes taken care of, they've been removed. It was a bit stressful, but I mean, I was confident, I know my legal rights. But I did some research, I did some learning, and I know some ways I should be more careful in the future, so hopefully it won't happen again. But if it does, I'm not worried again. Fair use and whatnot. I got my legal rights. But also, sorry if my voice sounds off. I'm still pretty sick right now. I recently went to New York City, and I got really sick there, but the trip was incredible. I mean, I got to go to Madison Square Garden, which was super cool. The highlight of my trip was probably seeing Pasquale Grasso, who's an incredible guitar player. I mean, also, I went to the MoMA. There's some cool art there. I saw a Broadway show. Honestly, the whole city was just an awesome vibe. It was really fun. Also, I was going to go back and cover the last couple of chapters because they've been insane, but I got a lot on my plate right now. I'm doing a lot of things. I don't feel great right now, so I think I'll just try and keep up with the most recent stuff. But man, the last couple chapters were insane. I remember I was reading them and it was crazy. But anyways, getting into the chapter, just from the first, not even the first panel, the title page, you can tell it's going to be a great chapter. You get the Three Swords Night Battle. But anyways, starting the chapter, we see the Masumi ninjas and Chihiro hanging out, eating lunch, or an early brunch kind of thing. And you get a little funny dialogue about them being super needy. Sorry, not needy, super overbearing, like they were with Mr. Samura. Also, Mr. Samura, man, like I said, the last couple of chapters have been insane. But we get a specific time here, 11:20. I always like when specific times are used in stories. I don't know, something about that just hits right with me. Also, seeing Chihiro in a suit is hilarious. I did not expect that. It's really funny. But if you look at this first page, there's some cool little paneling here. I mean, Takeru is just insane at paneling. Your eye is guided all the way down through the center panel, and then you see on the left and right the Masumi ninjas are looking towards the center, with the cool one with the glasses looking deadpan, and just guiding your eye all the way down to the title card. Just nice, centered, focused paneling, really concise, really simple, but I mean, he just gets your eyes where they need to be seamlessly. And I talk about it a lot, but I think Takeru is one of the best at it, best of all time at it already, in my opinion. Because there's other stories which I absolutely adore, which have average or mediocre or even decent paneling, but this is as consistent and extraordinary and simple and effective. It's the best of every single world. But the Masumi ninjas and Chihiro are talking about how it's kind of difficult for them to have any kind of action right now with not knowing where Mr. Samura is, not knowing where the Hishaku is. They mention that they could essentially summon Mr. Samura to fight him whenever they want, because the giant owl that's been circulating, the Kamunabi is speculating that that's the search out strong forces of energy, which are essentially just the enchanted blades. So it'll sense Chihiro if he ever activates Enten. So they talk about that, they discuss their options, and I want to point out this panel of Chihiro really quick. I like this panel a lot. And I've been seeing some people online talk about how they don't really like the faces in Kagurabachi, but honestly, to me, the subtlety works really well. I mean, to me, they are expressive, and there's very subtlety and nuance, kind of how real people in the real world are. Realistic facial expressions. Not everyone, how many people in the real world are given jaw-dropping anime reactions to most things? And you get a couple of those in the story, but they're placed in key moments of key character emotion, so they feel impactful. But besides that, it's just kind of the subtlety. And I think the subtlety works perfectly. I think it works incredible. So I don't personally get why people don't necessarily like it, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, but we get some more dialogue with Masumi talking about their situation. Then on this page, I want to point out the eye flow, just going from the sword angled down, then all the way to the bottom right. You see the staggered point of interests in the different panels, leading all the way down to the bottom right. And Takeru does that a lot, where he'll just stagger what you're looking at slightly, So he guides your eye in a diagonal downright motion. It's simple, but it just works so well. Like, if you've never read manga before, you can jump right into it and it'll feel like you're just at home even though you have no experience, because of how well your eye is guided. Because there are some other manga which have incredible stories, but they're hard for people who haven't experienced the medium much to read, just because it's hard for your eye to follow everything that's happening. But to Kagurabachi, that's not the case at all. Every single chapter flows incredibly, and I just love to talk about it. But eventually we get this hilarious panel of the Masumi ninjas and Chihiro just being silent for a second. And I think Takeru's use of blank space is it's just great. Like, just seeing the blank background with the no text, it's funny. It's everything about this is just dry. Dry dialogue, dry facial expressions, dry humor. Well, I don't want to say dry dialogue. It's interesting, but it's realistic, and that's what I mean by dry. It's dry in the sense how people normally talk, like casually or seriously, not with a lot of insane kind of like comical or ear-catching gravitas. Like, there's none of that. It's realistic, almost like Tarantino dialogue, but he has a different, more uniquely funny style, which I'm not even gonna try and compare to anybody else. I love Tarantino, but this panel is really funny to me. And they have that reaction because they're basically realizing they're kind of screwed. They don't have anything they can easily do. Like, they can't fight Mr. Samura because if they fight and kill him, what are they gonna do with the Hishaku? Because he's the only one putting pressure on him. He's the only one, like, really, that's a potential enemy, because he knows where they are and he's strong. But he's working with them right now, which makes it complicated. So they want to take him out, but they can't. And eventually this leads to one of the Masumi ninjas saying, "Yes, we have a plan, there's leverage." Then Chihiro's like, "A hostage?" And then I want to point out this panel right here. It's a simple one-point perspective. If you look at the red lines, you'll see them all pointing to that yellow vanishing point. But the vanishing point's kind of like to the bottom right. And if you've ever studied like cinematography or even kind of any like direction and media, visual media, you'll understand what I'm saying. But it kind of follows the rule of thirds, where the one focus point, which is the vanishing point in the perspective, that's in the bottom right third. And then if you look up to the second, or sorry, not the second, but the person, you'll see that they're in the top right middle third, and then follow in all the way back in the background, that last person, finishing that kind of third perspective. I mean, it's not like exact, and it's not like a science, but it's a quick thing you can use as guidelines as where to frame things to make them visually interesting. And also just putting the vanishing point low down on any one point perspective gives the depth a lot more interest and allows you to make really interesting looking panels or drawings, whatever, without much effort, because you don't have to worry about the 2-point perspective. You just have to worry about the one vanishing point, throw it down low or up high, and just make it interesting. Throw it off to the side and have your points of interest somewhere else that's not next, not next to, but that's not right where the vanishing point is. But anyways, continuing the chapter, it's they're talking about the hostage, and they're saying that Mr. Samura has a daughter. This panel right here of his daughter I really like. There's something similar earlier during the Rakuzaichi arc where you saw Chihiro's like little wanted poster, which was pretty funny, but it's had that same style with all the hashings to draw them out. I really like how Takeru draws pictures of people. He just uses all hashes, and it's really nice. Also, I want to point out this panel right here. Another instance of the one-point perspective where the vanishing point is shifted down low and off to the side. I mean, it's just so simple, but it's great. And if you look at their feet, you can see how they're standing in perspective. And I mean, it just gives so much unique depth with just a simple tactic. Like, just zoom in, worry about the one-point perspective, throw it off to the side, get a cool looking angle, and it's simple, but it's effective. All of Kagurabachi's art I would call just geniusly simple. It does what's the coolest and what works the best and what's the most effective with the least amount of like effort. Personally, I think it's clean. It's just captivates me. It's just, I've never read a manga which just looks so simple in a good way. I mean, like simple as in like just real, real and flowy and easy to read. It's just masterful in my opinion. But we get some dialogue of Chihiro and the Masumi ninjas talking about Mr. Samura's daughter. And then get a cool page where they're talking. I'm not going to cover it because it's pretty much the exact same thing. But the page where the Masumi ninjas reveal that they faked Mr. Samura's daughter's death and it was the only time he ever used them as ninjas. That page has basically the exact same eye flow I showed you earlier with the page with the sword, where it just staggers down all the way to the bottom right. I mean, he just uses it a lot, but because it works and it's great. But yeah, we get some more dialogue, and they're talking about how they're not going to use Mr. Samura's daughter as a hostage per se, but how it's very likely that the Hishaku is going to try to, so they're trying to find his daughter first. And they're talking about like how it's basically impossible to track her down because Mr. Samura used a spell. And I hope they talk more about spells and stuff like this, because anything that would flesh out the scope of the power system in the story I'd really like, because it has a lot of legs and a lot of potential, but in my opinion it's also not there per se yet. But I mean, you gotta give it time. If like look at chapter 100 of One Piece, that's when they went into the Grand Line. Like no hockey, no anything. I mean, there's time, so I have full faith. So I'd love to see more stuff talking about spells and different like energy, spirit. I'm blanking on the name right now, but like the power that Hawkery has and whatnot, more stuff like that I'd love to see expanded on, rather than just enchanted blades being like the main power system. But Mr. Samura's spell on his daughter made it so she wouldn't be able to recognize Mr. Samura at all. Just a complete severing of the memory of her father, and that makes it virtually impossible for them to find her, because she's somewhere, who knows, she could be anywhere essentially. But we get some dialogue talking about how the Hishaku are extremely capable. They're talking about Shinuchi, and how they were able to unseal it so fast. So they're saying, hey, we gotta find her before the Hishaku does, because they're definitely searching for her. And then we get this incredible full page spread with the word Kyoto, and that's where Mr. Samura's daughter is. And you see the giant owl eye hovering over the city. It's just haunting, man. I'm not gonna show you because I got nothing to talk about. It's gorgeous. It's great. But moving on, we get to see the Hishaku members in Kyoto. They're talking, some nice little dialogue of them buying food. They're kind of arguing with each other. I'm glad they're getting a bit more, they're showing the villains more, which I like. Like I said, it has legs, it's early on, but I hate it when stories kind of throw out villains without giving them the proper depth and exploration beforehand. So I'm glad we get to see more of the Hishaku members right here. A great instance is Bleach, which is my personal favorite anime, manga, whatever, actually besides Cowboy Bebop, but it just has a special place in my heart. But even like 1,000 Year Blood War, this introduced a bunch of villains out of nowhere, and it's not the right way to do things. It just doesn't hit as well. So I hope to see a lot more from the Hishaku soon, before there's like a big arc coming up, or before, you know what I mean, before they're done, basically. I don't want their fight to be over before we know more about them. But if you look at this page here, the eye flow is great. Same thing, curves down to the bottom right using that staggering technique. If you look at that bottom panel, the perspective of that panel is also in line with the eye flow. It's just everything is designed around how easy it is to read. It's just, there's no way Takeru is not thinking about this kind of stuff when he's drawing, because it's awesome to look at, in my opinion. But we get some cool dialogue about the Enchanted Blade, Hirohiko. Like I said, I want to see more from the Hishaku. Hopefully they get some more depth added to them. But the chapter ends showing Mr. Samura's daughter in Kyoto. And I'm just calling it now, there's no way she survives. No way. No way. I'm calling it now. I don't know how, when, or by who, but she will die. I'm calling it now. I don't think she's gonna live. No shot. But that's just my opinion. Maybe they do get a happy ending, but I'm not too hopeful, especially in a story like this. But this is a great chapter. It was kind of expository, but it was all pretty natural and extremely natural by manga and anime standards. Because, I mean, exposition in manga and anime sometimes can be a yap session about random stuff that normal people would never mention. But here it's kind of natural dialogue, which I appreciate. I like seeing the Hishaku whenever we see him, and yeah, seeing Chihiro in his suit was awesome. Great chapter overall. I wish I would have done a bit more in-depth analysis, but like I said, I'm not feeling great, so I'm kind of just doing this off the cuff a little bit and just talking about what I was thinking while I read it, and not going crazy in-depth as I might have. But I still think I covered it pretty well. But I guess, what else? That Simpsons video I'm working on, I don't think it'll happen by the end of the year like I hoped, but I'd give it maybe 4 weeks, and it'll be great. Trust me, it's gonna be the first video where I kind of implement my actual editing chops. Because these kind of videos, I throw up the stuff, and it's like kind of educational, but there's no way, I'm not doing like a style kind of video where I'm going for the vibe and I'm making you immersed in the video. This is more kind of an educational talk, interested about the manga kind of thing. But the Simpsons video, I'm gonna pull out my actual editing chops like I did for like the anime, like the AMVs I've done, whatnot. I mean, I'm not gonna do a Simpsons AMV, but I'm gonna pull out the actual chops. It's gonna be a great video. So that's probably gonna take me a lot longer. Because these kind of videos, I can do in like a day or two. One day if I try really hard. But yeah, I mean, the chapter is great. I'm really excited to keep covering these. Make some more shorts probably. Because, yeah, the copyright strikes were so annoying. Because I just couldn't take any risks. Because I was at 2, even though I knew I was within my legal right. And YouTube said it would take 10 business days. It took a little bit longer, but I can't be too mad. They had my back. They helped me out. But it was kind of annoying. Trying to push around small creators. I get it. Japanese doesn't have fair use, whatnot. But YouTube is an American company. I'm an American. It's American laws. That's how it works. So, but I get it. I get where they're coming from, but you know, I'm gonna keep my legal rights because I love doing this, and I think it's only beneficial to the company. Like, no one's coming to my videos with, at the time of recording this, 25 subscribers as a replacement for the manga. No one's doing that. But you know, it is their IP, and I understand it, so I can't be too mad. But it is what it is. Simpsons video is gonna be incredible. I think there's another chapter next week. I think Shonen Jump's taking a break after next week. I can't remember though, to be honest. But I'll cover the next Kagurabachi chapter for sure. I'll probably cover this upcoming One Piece chapter. I've read the spoilers. Looks pretty cool. But yeah, the Simpsons video I'm super excited for. Hopefully it gets a decent reception. You know, a couple hundred views would be nice. But I'm not putting my like life worth or even my editing video skill worth into views right now, because you know, it just is more kind of a passion project thing. Everything I'm doing here, I just do it because I like it, you know. But anyways, I'm not gonna yap to myself much longer, because I'm sure most people don't stick around for the yap session part of the video. But it is what it is, you know. I like talking, I like educating, I like talking about things I like. But anyways, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.